Hello everyone! Welcome to this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. COVID-19 is back creeping up, which makes it very difficult to go to certain entertainment events. On this week's episode, I'll be discussing local events that are still going on, as well as mentioning how to stay entertained and safe in these very difficult times. Additionally, I have a new segment on the history of Berkshire County, cities and towns. First, it's time for this week's trivia question, which will be answered at the end of the show. This week's question is, what famous off-road motorcycle event has a unique place in the town of Dalton's history? Now, for this week's local entertainment headlines. The Great Barrington Public Theater, in collaboration with Berkshire Film and Media Collaborative, is presenting Berkshire Outdoor Shorts, a series of solo films that are centered on the natural environment of the Berkshires. Each of these is written by a local writer and produced in a socially distant outdoor location in Berkshire County, where they will run approximately 7 to 10 minutes. When asked about this series, Jim Frangione, the artistic director of the Great Barrington Public Theater, said, quote, "Artists everywhere are struggling. Everyone is struggling. In recognition of all the weeks and months that we have had limited opportunity to interact, we wanted to give writers and actors a safe, enjoyable space for creativity and an outlet to respond to the world we're all living in right now. We're so lucky to live in the Berkshires, where we have immediate access to natural beauty, open space, and fresh air." That was the inspiration for this series. And it's been a great collaboration with Berkshire Film and Media, end quote. Berkshire Outdoor Shorts is produced and directed by Mr. Frangione and Diane Perlman, and production sponsors include John Sharaf Photography of Richmond and William Beautyman's Limelight Productions of Lee. The first film in the series, King Corona, written by Stephen Oftanowski, is currently available on YouTube and the Great Barrington's Public Theater's website, shown here. There will be 3 other films in the series, which are all currently in production. They are The Reject by Mark St. Germain, Almost You by Lee Strimbeck, and Dorantia by Ryan Katcher. Check back on their previously mentioned website for future upload dates. Also, make sure to donate to the public theater. All donations will be matched to help local nonprofits create impactful videos for their fundraising, branding, marketing, and social media. Shakespeare and Company and Lenox will be hosting a series of virtual performances in November that deal with issues in today's society. The 2 latest shows are going to be Kernel of Sanity and Smart People. Kernel of Sanity focuses on the shifting power of struggle of identity and race coming together to create a riveting examination of truth and lies, while Smart People discusses love, success, and identity in modern politics. Both of these plays are hot-button topics that are sure to get people talking long after the virtual reading has ended. Kernel of Sanity will run from November 12th through the 15th, while Smart People will be running November 19th through the 22nd. All readings will be taking place at 7:30 p.m. To purchase tickets for these shows, visit Shakespeare.org, click on the November reading series featured on the main page, and then click on the show you wish to buy tickets to. You will then be given a link to the date and time of the show. Tickets are free for all members of the public. Visit Shakespeare.org for more information on this and all other shows. The Clark Art Museum will be hosting a talk dealing with philosophy and visual arts. Philosophical Grounding will feature Michael Ann Holly, the founding director of the Research and Academic Program at the Clark Art Institute. She was one of the founders of the first Department of Visual Studies in the United States at the University of Rochester in 1986. In this discussion, Holly, as well as star director Caroline Fowler, will be discussing what initially drew Holly to art history and her contributions to the founding of Rochester's Department of Visual and Cultural Studies, along with some of the text in critical theory that she enjoys teaching the most. The Clark Art Philosophical Grounding event will be taking place on Tuesday, November 17th, from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. To listen to this episode, visit the website shown here. You can also download the talk on iTunes, Spotify, and anywhere else that you can listen to podcasts. The Artswalk in Pittsfield is still going strong. Rain, snow, or COVID-19. It has only been going on for a couple of years, but it is one of the city's most popular art events. The event was launched in 2012 as an opportunity for Pittsfield residents to view outdoor and indoor art at multiple locations. It is located in more than 20 venues, including art galleries, retail establishments, and hospitality businesses. Berkshire Money Management is one of the main owners of the Artswalk. In a statement from President and Chief Investment Officer Alan Harris on why Berkshire Money Management decided to sponsor the event, quote, "As a business owner, I see the incredible value of the arts and culture for the local economy and for our quality of life. When I looked at the early success of the Artswalk and its positive impact for the downtown businesses, it was clear to me that this needed to continue." End quote. The art has ranged from holiday work to work that students have done in the Pittsfield school system to the latest exhibit, Artists in Quarantine, which discussed how many regulars of the Artswalk were doing during the pandemic. Every month brings along new art and new artists. The Art Walk is still going on, bad weather and COVID regardless. However, visitors are asked to stay 6 feet apart and masked. If going into a retail establishment or art gallery, there is a limit of 2 people per party. Art Walk takes place every first Friday of the month. The next Arts Walk will be taking place on North Street on December 4th. The time has not yet been scheduled, but most Arts Walk will be running from 5:30 to 8 p.m. On last week's episode, I discussed how it might be a good time to be taking a road trip to, say, upstate New York to see a movie. However, with the rise of COVID-19 cases nationally, this is not a good option, and I cannot support taking a road trip. With that said, I can support a movie that came out on demand recently. The Craft: Legacy. This is a long-awaited sequel to the 1996 movie. The plot of both movies are essentially the same. In it, a group of female high school students form a coven of witches. Fans of the original can expect a lot of the same witchcraft, but with 2020 themes. This movie stars Callie Spaney, Zoe Luna, Gideon Aldon, and is directed by Zoe Lister-Jones. It was also produced by Blumhouse, which has created some of the biggest horror movies of the past 10 years. Their hits have included movies such as Get Out, Us, Ma, Split, The Purge series, and more. Beyond horror movies, Blumhouse Studios also produced the 2014 Oscar-winning film Whiplash. So clearly, they are a production company of many talents. It's now time for this week's history portion of WWHEN. And this week, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be taking a tour of Berkshire County towns and cities, discussing how they were founded, who or what they are named after, and what makes the town well known and special. I feel it's important to recognize the history of where you live. So, what better way to do this than a segment on WWHEN? This week's town is Dalton. Located in between Pittsfield and Windsor, it has a population of just over 6,750 people. It was first settled in 1755 on the equivalent lands, several large tracts of land that were made available to settlers from the colony of Connecticut. Dalton became a municipal corporation status in 1784 and gained its official Dalton name that same year. The reason that it is called Dalton is because of a man named Tristram Dalton. At the time the town was founded, Tristram Dalton was the House of Representatives Speaker of Massachusetts, and later served as one of the first Massachusetts U.S. Senators. In fact, Dalton, Massachusetts is one of 3 Daltons named after him. There are others located in Georgia and New Hampshire. In 1801, Dalton natives Zenas Crane, Henry Wiswall, and John Willard set up a paper mill in the town. Its first customer was famed American Paul Revere. By 1844, Crane and Company had begun producing banknote paper, which was purchased by banks across all of New England. Today, Crane and Company remains one of Dalton's largest employers. Since 1873, it has been the only supplier of paper for the Federal Reserve note in the United States. Dalton is part of the Central Regional School District in Massachusetts, which also runs through the towns of Hinsdale, Carew, Washington, Becket, Cummington, and Windsor. The town of Dalton has 1 elementary school, Craneville, 1 middle school, Nesicus, and 1 high school, Wacona. Craneville is named after the influence of Crane and Company on the town, while Nesicus and Wacona are named after a famed Native American couple. There is also a church called St. Agnes, which is one of the largest in Berkshire County and also has an academy for elementary school-aged students. For being such a small town, Dalton has a fascinating connection to baseball. 3 people who were born in Dalton or raised in Dalton have gone on to make a major impact in the MLB. First is Jeff Reardon. Widely considered to be one of the greatest closers in baseball history, Reardon was drafted straight out of Wacona Regional High School in the 23rd round of the 1973 MLB draft, but chose to attend the University of Massachusetts Amherst to play baseball. Interestingly, another Wacona 1973 alumni, Gerald Elb, was also drafted, but never reached the majors. After college, Reardon signed a minor league contract with the New York Mets in 1977 and made his debut on August 25, 1979. He pitched in the majors for 15 years, earning a 73-77 record, but more importantly, gained 367 saves, which was the all-time record very briefly. He won a World Series championship with the 1987 Minnesota Twins. Stephen Turk Wendell was undrafted after attending Wacona Regional, going to Quinnipiac University in Connecticut before he was eventually drafted in the 5th round in 1988 by the Atlanta Braves. He was one of Quinnipiac's greatest players, earning the most strikeouts in the school's history, and was named to that school's Hall of Fame in 1996. Wendell debuted in the major leagues in 1993 and played for 11 years, finishing with a career record of 36-33. Despite his talents, he is better known for his superstitions and quirky behavior. In fact, in 2019, he was voted by the magazine Men's Journal as the most superstitious athlete ever, beating out famed athletes such as basketball icon Michael Jordan and tennis great Serena Williams, among others. He would always jump over the foul line on his way to and from the mound, brushed his teeth in between innings, and chewed black licorice before every game. He also wore a necklace containing teeth of the wild animals that he had hunted. This extended off the field too. For instance, in 2000, he asked the New York Mets to make his contract $9,999,999.99 in honor of his uniform number, which is, you guessed it, 99. He is also one of the few MLB players who suffers from colorblindness. Dan Duquette never played a single MLB game, but is one of the more famous behind-the-scenes executives of the 20th and 21st centuries. He has been the general manager for 4 teams: the Milwaukee Brewers, the Montreal Expos, who today are known as the Washington Nationals, his childhood favorite team, Boston Red Sox, and the Baltimore Orioles. He is known for drafting star players before they hit it big. For instance, many baseball observers believe that his 1994 Montreal Expos team could have won the World Series if not for a strike that canceled the season. Additionally, many of his signings helped the Boston Red Sox win the World Series in 2004, breaking their famed curse. He was also the owner of the Pittsfield Dukes during their brief existence, founded the Israeli Baseball League, and opened up his own sports academy in Pittsfield. He is one of baseball's busiest figures. On a personal note, Dalton was the home of the Wehry Dairy Farm and was run by my great-grandfather, Joseph Wehry, and my great-great-uncle, Louis Wehry. The Wehry Dairy Farm opened in the 1920s and closed in the 1960s and was one of Dalton's most well-known dairy farms. It was fully operating, containing everything from hay bales to milking cows. From those milked cows, the farm delivered bottles of milk to residents of Dalton and Pittsfield. The milk bottles, one of which is shown here, are highly collectible today. More information on Dalton brings us the answer to this week's trivia question. As a reminder, this week's question was, what famous off-road motorcycle event has a unique place in the town of Dalton's history? The answer is the International 6-Day Enduro Race. Dubbed the oldest motorcycle race off-road in the world, this event brings the greatest motorcyclists together for one rally race. For many years, the Enduro 6-Day Race was held exclusively in Europe. However, in 1973, the race was held in America for the very first time, and Dalton was chosen as the track. There has been no explanation as to why it has been Dalton. Part of this race took place at the Musante Farm, which is located on 240 Cleveland Road in Dalton. In the 1973 race, the Czechoslovakian team won, which wasn't a surprise. They were in the midst of a 4-year winning streak and had also finished 1-2 in the 2 years prior. However, what was surprising was the United States finish. It had never managed to place in the top 3 prior to this event, but finished as runners-up this year for the first time. Maybe it was because they were on American soil for the first time. Members of the team included Motorcycle Hall of Famers Dick Burleson and Malcolm Smith. Dalton is one of only 2 locations in the United States that this race was held at. The other was in Tulsa, Oklahoma in 1994. That ends this week's episode of Wehry Weekly History and Entertainment News. You can watch this week's episode on channel 1301 of PCTV, CTSB TV, and NBCTC. Airtimes on all 3 of these networks vary. Visit the websites shown here for more information. Also, if you would like to see the episodes in HD quality, make sure to check out my YouTube page at RT Wehry. Thank you.